We're recording this, and again, please, everybody go on mute so we don't get any extraneous noise that we and communications that we're doing. We'll give it another minute before we get going. Again, we're getting background news. Could everybody go, please stay on mute? Okay, I'd like to welcome you to the Susan Hood participants meeting. This is being recorded, so we'll be posting that on YouTube so that in case there are any other information. Now I'm going to make sure I share my screen. Okay. And again, welcome to the Susan Hood Trophy Race 2002 participants meeting presented by Drive HG. One of the things we'd like to do is make sure you know about our sponsors and support them any way you can. Now I'd like to call on Monica Dodens, the chair of Lure, for a few remarks.
Hi, everyone.
I'll be back.
Hi, everyone.
Rick been able to get in here on it?
Okay, a little bit of somebody's talking in the background, but don't worry about it. Good evening, everyone. As Graham mentioned, I'm Monica, the chair of the organizing committee, and on behalf of Lure, I want to welcome you all and thank you for coming. And what an amazing turnout! I mean, finally, we're still in virtual, but we're going to get out there and have a really good race. And the weather looks amazing. I mean, it might change as weather does, but like there's going to be wind and warm through the night. Like, wow, it's not like a Susan Hood at all. But anyway, so it's going to be great. It looks like we have around 80 boats, which is great. And that's from about 22 different yacht clubs around the lake. And that translates into around 300 racers on the water this weekend. And good luck to all of you. I should also mention that there's a couple of boats from far away. One boat's from Quebec and one is from Rochester. Welcome. And you deserve accolades for your dedication. In the interest of brevity, I'm not going to introduce the organizing committee. I'm going to save that for the 300, and I know a lot of you will be doing that. I just want you to pick up one of the Lure guides. So all the ambassadors are getting these guides. They just came out, they just got printed last week. And hopefully the ambassadors for your yacht club are picking them up and delivering them to you. And so you pick one up and you can see our faces in the front. All the organizing committee is there. And we've been working really hard over the last 2 crazy years. So if you see them, like, buy them a drink. I think they deserve it. As Graham mentioned, we can't do these events without sponsors, especially Drive HG, who's really stepped up again this year. This time they're actually they're sponsoring all of our events, not just they used to just sponsor the 300 and the Susan Hood, but now they're doing the Losher Series too. Andrew Lennox, he was going to be here today, but he can't. But he wants to send his best wishes to all the racers. And if you need a car, contact him. He'll help you out. And we hope you don't need one of our sponsors, but North will have not in this circumstance. North is going to have a van in the parking lot of PCYC on Saturday morning. So if anybody of you have any sail damage or whatever, you can immediately just drop it off there and they'll take it in. North is also one of our great sponsors. So if you don't need repairs, you may need a new sail, so please go to them. Partnerships such as these are what make our races great. And notice the banners, we just put them up this afternoon around the club, and also the advertisements in the guide, and let those go and buy stuff from those people, and let them know why you're buying stuff from them, because you know they sponsor us. We really hope this is our last virtual skippers meeting. We're planning to do a great 300. Drive HG are bringing their fanciest cars, and we're going to have several vendors and sponsors on the lawn. We have swag for the racers, and hopefully we can swing some music on Friday night and have a flag ceremony sometime after the race. So really plan to come back for that, and like, yeah, it's going to be wonderful to be back in full swing again. Again, all the best to all of you. Sail safely and sail fast, and mostly have fun. And I'd like to introduce our Commodore of PCYC, Mark Searle. He's going to say a couple of words on PCYC's behalf. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Monica. Well, first of all, welcome everybody to the 2022 Susan Hood and Losher 1 kickoff. For those who are doing both, you're all very welcome at Port Credit. As usual, we're very thrilled to host the Susan Hood and Loshers, and eventually Lake Ontario 300. Terrific events that we're very proud of. And we're very cognizant of the fact that while we host it, the committees that run these so very well are members from clubs all the way around the lake. So we recognize, and I thank all of them tremendously for the dedication and the hundreds of hours that go into it. You can take, how do they say, you can take Loshers and lure out of the Commodore, but you can't take Commodore out of lure. I'm not sure how it goes, but I do still sit on the committee because I think it really is what racing is all about nowadays. And we know that's the case because fully crewed or especially shorthanded, the Olympics are trying to fit it in. So everybody recognizes the writing is on the wall. We are what it's all about. So congratulations to the committee and congratulations to all the competitors. Like we say, coming from Rochester, we welcome you. We wish you nothing but fun and happiness on the course. And be safe, stay warm. And thank you all very much for participating. We really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the start line. I'm on Jersey Girls, so I look forward to seeing you all and hopefully at a reasonably decent hour on Saturday morning. Cheers.
Thank you, Monica and Mark. Just a couple of points. If there, we appreciate if we leave all the questions to the end because it's easier to manage in a virtual meeting. The other thing, the notice of race and the sailing instructions take precedence and override anything said tonight during the meeting in case I make a mistake. The official documents are up to date. I did post an amendment to the notice of race to make sure that the the Drive HG Fogue mark is explicitly included in the notice of race. The SIs have an amendment which have the actual position of the finish mark, and the diagram includes the Fogue mark as well. The starting sequence document is up. There are no amendments yet, but please check the official online notice board before the start for any updates. Safety is always important, and the SIs encourage periodic check-ins with families, etc. The fundamental rule, any boat or competitor shall give all possible help to any person or vessel in danger. That's not just competitor, that's anybody on the water. And redress is available for anybody who provides or is standing by, and you can be penalized for not assisting. A couple of things on the racing rules of sailing. Under the racing rules, anything in the notice of race does not have to be repeated in the sailing instructions, and it's not. So all the changes to the racing rules of sailing are not repeated in the SIs. Also, there are additional requirements that are in the notice of race that are not repeated in the SIs. So you need to look at both documents to understand the rules governing the Susan Hood Trophy race. Then there's a couple of experimental rules that are invoked. One is a RRS appendix.
You want to extend the turnbuckle more first and see?
Please, could everybody stay on mute, please?
You don't get too tight.
There's people, we're getting background discussions. Please stay on mute. So again, there is the appendix reduced visibility replaces part 2 of the racing rules of sailing between sunset and sunrise. The appendix is available on the website.
And I also made a note in my credit notes article for June that you're constantly
Please
looking
stay
for
on mute.
efficiencies and you.
So it's important to review this. Understand that it changes part 2 between sunset and sunrise, and this affects things at mark roundings, etc. The other item that we can use now is the test rule DR 2101. What it allows us to do is give a penalty for some instead of scoring about OCS. And of course, you can always return and start properly if you want to clear yourself. Okay, the other thing is that Rule 44.3 applies the scoring penalty. So I suggest everybody read that to understand the implications and how to take it or accept the penalty, because it's not the standard mechanism of 1 or 2 turns penalty. The start should review RRS 26 to understand it. To check the classes and divisions, they're unique to this Susan Hood, and review the SIs on how the start is conducted. The starts are listed and the splits are listed in a separate document referred to from the notice of the sailing instructions. There are no overrides, but make sure you check that your perf rating is correct. Your perf rating is in the proper class for starting. This document overrides what is in the scratch sheet. So if there's an error, please let us know and we'll correct it. But this document is the overriding document. Again, make sure that you've checked that, because there's some cases we've had, they said they're sailing double-handed and they got 4 crew or things like that. So make sure that you are check the scratch sheets and make sure you start and that it matches what's in the starting sequence document. And if there are any errors, please send it to us immediately and we'll correct it. The start, the first warning is at 1940, and the racing starts at the race boat's prep signal. That's when the racing rules of sailing come into effect, and that's when your engines have to be off. And please keep out of the start area if it's not your start yet. It really affects the other people who are trying to start. If a boat that is starting several starts later is mucking around on the start line. So please keep the start line clear if it's not your start. Here is the course. We start here. We go to the drive HG mark, which is the Fogue mark. You go to Niagara, to Burlington, and then to the finish mark, and it's already dropped, so you can go out and take a GPS fix for it. It's in the water, ready to go. So again, the course is the start area, the Fogue mark, Niagara, Burlington, and the finish. Here they are, and they are enumerated in the sailing instructions. The finish, review the SI on finishing. Please keep your radio on and monitor 71, because especially in the darkness, if we have to identify a sailboat, flashing a light on the sail only enumerates 1 digit, so we can't read it. So we may have to contact you if we can't make out your sail number. So please keep your radio on. Here's the finish coming from Burlington. The shore station is here and the finish mark is there. And again, as mentioned, it is already dropped in the water, so you can get a GPS fix on it. Again, monitor 71. And if you, within 90 minutes of finishing, you have to email us about any alternate penalties you're accepting. Remember what we said about the alternate scoring penalty, you have to review that. And then within 2 hours of finishing, if you have to submit any protests or requests for redress by the owner's corner on the race document and registration website. Okay, race committee protests. If a boat races and has not completed these specific entry criteria, the race committee will protest the boat. This includes incomplete or inaccurate crew information. We'll mention that a little bit more. It's important to remember that the skipper, person in charge, is part of the crew, and their information has to be put in there as well. I realize it's duplicated, but it helps in case of an emergency. And if we have to give the information to a search and rescue group, that we have all the information about who's aboard that boat in one place. If you haven't submitted your safety document or your crew overboard drill, or you don't have a current rating certificate valid for racing, there's a couple of boats still outstanding that haven't got their perf certificate renewed. Hopefully they can get it done by tomorrow so they can participate and we don't have to protest them. Okay, this is an example of the list of the crew. This was the first sample boat I put in, and I'm remiss because I didn't have the boat, all the crew of 2. But that information has to be accurate and complete because it's a safety concern. What if it's not complete? Let's say you have a person that didn't show up and you didn't update it before the start of the race. If there's an incident, the search and rescue people will be looking for a non-existent person because we'll tell them there's 5 on board and there were only 4. The other thing is if you don't make sure everybody's on there, and like you have 5 instead of 4, and if 4 are recovered, they may give up and not look for the 5th person. So it's crucial that you have your crew information up to date. It's so crucial that we put together a little video. It's up on the YouTube site for Lure Racing, and it shows you how to maintain your crew list. You can do this online right up to the start because we realize that crew may drop out at the last minute, etc. But it's imperative that you get this information complete and accurate for the number of souls on board for this event. You really don't want to have us have to put your boat name in a protest form and submit it. So we really appreciate if you make sure all these items are addressed so you have a complete entry. Most of the things, except for the perf rating issue, have became about because of fatalities in offshore racing. The incident about looking for the wrong number of people occurred off the west coast of San Francisco. There was a number of fatalities over a period of time, and the Coast Guard got so upset that they stopped offshore racing in the San Francisco area until the clubs cleaned up their act. So these things that we're asking for have come about because there have been fatalities. And we want to make sure we don't have any more fatalities in any of the lure events. So please make sure all this information is provided. One of the things you do, and including the crew when they sign the waiver, is they said that they've looked at the concussion information. This is a requirement under Ontario law. So you said that when you've signed up and approved the waiver that you've looked at it. If you, just as a reminder, you can go to the Ontario sailing website and look at it because concussions are a serious problem. They can create long-term injury and fatalities, and it's the second concussion when you haven't healed from the first that's the killer. So if you handle it correctly, you reduce the chances of death and long-term incapacitation. And if you withdraw, please let us know. We want to know if you withdraw and you don't let us know, we're going to be looking for you at the finish. And if we can't find you, that's a concern. We may have to start contacting the Coast Guard. They may look where you are or whatever. So please follow the SIs with regards to withdrawal. It's a matter of safety that we know where you are. You can contact the race committee anytime, 7/24 during the race at that 1-866 number, or at the email address. Or if you're in range, we'll pick you up on channel 71. If you call the 1-866 number, you can leave a message and we get an email copy of it by a WAV file, so we'll get it. So if you have any issues or need to contact us, please do. It's quite simple to do. Again, we'd like to thank our sponsors. The Lure couldn't happen without them, and please give them your support. Now, if you any questions, we can entertain them now.
Yes, I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The Mark's timesheet, what email address do we send that to?
You can send that to racecommittee@lure.ca.
Race, okay, thank you.
Okay.
For the check-in status, do we have to click anything, or like if our website thing is still red, is that okay if everything else is green, or do we have to do anything special to complete the check-in?
If it says check, if everything else is green and not check-in, and you updated your skipper's information, submitted the 2 documents, the crew overboard and the safety document, you're good to go.
Okay, so it's normal for it to be red.
Yeah, it may not be. I'll update it until tomorrow. So yes.
Okay.
Graham, would you please repeat where the start sequence can be found?
It's on this doc. It's on here under other documents with all the other documents associated with it.
Thank you.
Okay.
So Graham, I just want to clarify, just to that last response you said, so I still have not updated, I'm just going to that screen. So I've submitted everything, but it still says on mine, not checked in yet.
Yeah, so that may be a lapse. So if you've done everything, don't and it's still red, don't worry about it as long as you've got a confirmation that you've submitted everything.
Yep, okay, thanks.
Graham, for someone who's doing this for the first time,
Mhm.
the whole multi-hole checklist form for the regulation category 3, do I submit that or just keep it handy?
There's a form that says that not that you don't have to support the checklist. You just have to support the safety document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The checklist is there to help people understand what's needed and make it easier for them to check their own boats.
Can I ask, is there still a requirement for all of us to check back in with Canada Border Services?
No. Yes, no, and maybe is the right answer. Legally, you have to check in with the Canadian Border Services Agency, except under certain circumstances. As long as you do not anchor, do not come in contact to another boat, or go up a river, you do not have to check back in.
Okay, so if we stay on course, we're okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
But if you got stopped by the cops, which has happened before in the U.S. waters, then you should have to contact them.
Got it.
Just for reference, I called them and found out that one of the best things to do if you can is actually bring your passport. Because
Yeah.
if you do get stopped, or certainly you have a problem, have to hit the US side, Youngstown or something, then you should take your passport with you.
That's absolutely true. In case of an emergency and you have to go into US waters, having your passport for all your crew is a good idea.
Are there any rules related to COVID going across the border and back? Is there, if you did have to go in for any reason?
That I'm not sure. Whatever rules are in effect would apply. So,
okay,
if you have your vaccination, you should carry your certificates and all the rest of it.
Okay, thank you.
Hi,
Can I,
Graham.
Yeah, go ahead, Kathleen.
Yeah, just going to the reduced visibility racing rules. I don't know if people have read them or not, but I just want to highlight that even at mark roundings, you have to keep a 40-meter distance if you're the giveaway boat.
Yeah.
From any right-of-way boat. So I've seen last year that probably was not observed in reality, but I just want to highlight that. And I guess you can be protested if you're a giveaway boat and you don't keep a 40-meter distance from a boat that has the right of way, even at a mark rounding.
Correct.
Is that fair? Okay. And so a 40 meters just casually, like for my boat would be a four boat distance, just to make it easy for people to understand.
Yeah, this is an attempt to replace the invocation of the coal regs from sunset to sunrise, which were a lot more onerous and cause more problems. But yes.
Okay. Thank
People
you.
should really review the reduced visibility appendix.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Can I just ask a clarifying question about something you mentioned a few minutes ago, Edward? You said that if our registration is red, we shouldn't be concerned, but we should be expecting a confirmation email that we've submitted all of our documents.
Hopefully that will happen. It may not happen. As long as you got, a record of all submitting them, that you're okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Will there be a weather briefing tomorrow?
No. Unfortunately not.
I'm just going to say, hey, Monica, 10 degrees is not warm. That's still a cool race.
Okay, any other questions?
But 10 degrees is still a lot warmer than 3 and hail. So, yeah. And wind is the most important.
Hey,
Okay.
no question, but thanks very much for getting this together this year. I think it's going to be a great season, and we're really looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're pretty happy ourselves.
Anything else anybody has wants to bring up or has a question on? If not, thank you very much, everybody. This will be posted in and the slides will be also posted. We'll be sending out a notice later today or early in the morning what the URLs are. So again, thank you very much for joining.
Goodbye, everyone. Be safe.
Thank you.
And
Thank
have fun.
you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.